Good morning, sixth graders. This is Mr. Shearer, and we are getting into our second book assignment today. We're on Chapter 1, Lesson 2. Just a reminder, there's 12 chapters, and this particular chapter has 7 lessons. So Chapter 1, Lesson 2, as you can see on your screen, it's about ratios. So just to give you a book definition of what a ratio is, a ratio is a comparison to two quantities by division. It basically takes two amounts of something and compares them. So in this example, you could be asked the question, what is the ratio of red to blue paper clips? I'm going to give you just a second to count those, but how many red, how many blue? Great. Hopefully you counted correctly. There are 2 red paper clips and 6 blue paper clips. This is the beginning of a ratio. Now there are 3 ways to write ratios. You could write 2 to 6. Again, 2 represents the red paper clips, 6 represents the blue. You could write 2.6. Looks like time. Or you can write it as a fraction, 2 over 6. Again, these are the 3 ways you can write a ratio. Let's see that again because it's important. 2 to 6, so you can write it with word form. 2 red, 6 blue, using the dot dots, or as a fraction, 2 over 6. Now I want to note something. As with all fractions, ratios need to be expressed in their simplest form. And if you don't know what that means, simplest form means reduce the fraction. You always have to reduce ratios if they can reduce. So 2 over 6 does reduce. Remember how to reduce a fraction. So red paper clips, there was 2. Blue, there was 6. Find a common factor. The greatest common factor of 2 and 6 is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. The ratio of red to blue paper clips is best expressed as 1 to 3. So I want you to look at that again. Again, 2 red to 6 blue. What you're doing when you reduce is you're basically saying, okay, I'm keeping the same quantity. I can divide these up evenly, right, by the factor of 2. And I can really say that 2 red, 6 blue is the same as 1 red to every 3 blue. When you reduce a ratio, you're not really changing the relationship. There's 1 red to every 3 blue paper clips. What about an improper fraction? That's when the top is bigger than the bottom. So if you don't remember what an improper fraction is, it's when the numerator, the top of the fraction, is larger than the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. So in this question, if I ask you to write the ratio of moons to suns, if you count, you will note there are 6 moons and 4 suns. Now I want to point something out to you. Whatever is asked for first in a ratio question is written first. So it would be moons first, because the question says right here, moons to suns. So then you just count and plug in your numbers. So 6 moons to 4 suns. Now that does reduce. You could write 6 to 4, 6 dot dot 4, or 6 over 4. Common factor is 2, so that would reduce to 3 over 2. Now in this case, with ratios, you just leave it as an improper fraction. It's comparing 2 quantities, in this case moons and suns, so 2 objects it's comparing, so you leave it in order to continue to make that comparison. What this says is that for every 3 moons, there are 2 suns, so you leave it as an improper fraction. Now in your assignment today, they're going to ask you to compare ratios to a total. So this is one of the example questions in your book. It says several students name their favorite flavor of gum. Write the ratio that compares the number who chose fruit to the total number of students. Let's take a look at the chart. You've got 4 types of gum: peppermint, cinnamon, fruit, and spearmint. And they want to know the ratio that who chose fruit to the total number. Well, 3 people chose fruit, and the total is found by adding all 4, including the fruit, all 4 of those gum flavor responses together. So when I add 9 plus 8 plus 3 plus 1, I get 21. So my ratio starts with 3 over 21, fruit to total. Again, there's a greatest common factor in 3 and 21, and that is 3. 3 divided by 3 is going to give me 1. 21 divided by 3 is going to give me 7. So in simplest form, 3 over 21 is written as 1 over 7. The ratio is 1 over 7, or you could write it 1 to 7, or you could write 1 dot dot 7. Again, all we did was put fruit first because that's what it asked for, and then we added the total and we reduced. This is the hardest question, and there's only one question, I believe, maybe 2, in your assignment today that asks you to do this. This is dividing groups. So you have a group of something and you want to divide it into equal ratios. So Kathy wants to divide her 30 flowers into 2 groups so that the ratio is 2 to 3. I'm going to pause and go slow because this one's kind of tricky. Let's look at the numbers we have. We know that the 30 flowers have to be in a final ratio of 2 to 3. So how many flowers do we put in each group? We know the ratio 2 to 3 represents 5 flowers. It's 2 plus 3 is 5. So if you have 2 flowers to 3 flowers, that's 5 flowers. We also know there's 30 flowers total. So how I solve these is I try to find that missing number. That's going to take the flowers I know I have, 5, times what is going to give me the total number of flowers. In this case, 6. 5 times 6 will give me 30 flowers. I then keep my ratio, this 2 to 3, by multiplying both the 2 and the 3 by 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 6 is 18. It's going to give me a final ratio of 12 to 18. That is the answer to this question. If you go 12 plus 18, there's your 30 flowers. So this one's a little tricky, so I'm going to show it to you again. I'm going to go fast this time. Kathy wants to divide her 30 flowers into 2 groups so that the ratio is 2 to 3. So look at your numbers. We need a final ratio of 2 to 3. We know 2 plus 3 is 5, so that represents 5 flowers. I know I've got 30 flowers total. So then I have to think 5 times what gives me 30, and 5 times 6 gives me 30. So I keep that 2 to 3 ratio by timesing both the top and the bottom by 6. And it's going to give me a final answer. 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 6 is 18. It's going to give me 12 to 18 as my final ratio. That's it. Your assignment today is page 23 and page 25 in your book. There is an answer key attached to your assignment where you can go ahead and put your answers. I want to point out one thing. In the book, like even on question 1, there's a statement where it said, then explain its meaning. And this should not have a comma or apostrophe, I should say. Oops, typo. But if it says, then explain its meaning as a question, this just means label your numbers. Honestly, I'm more concerned that you get correct numbers than I am that you have correct labels. But what they're asking you to do on this assignment is to label your numbers. So on question number 1, it asks you the ratio of flutes to drums. So you could write 4 flutes to 2 drums. They're looking for the labels when they say explain its meaning. You literally write 4 flutes, the word two drums. And again, that would reduce by 2 to 2 flutes to 1 drum. If you don't get the labeling right, I'm not super concerned. What I'm looking for is numbers. And again, your assignment is page 23 and 25. Email me with questions. Come to the meet. At the end of the meet today, we will probably work on these questions together for anyone who needs additional help. Have a great rest of your day, 6th graders.